With Avowed bringing us back to the world of Eora, I, Suggestive Gaming, figured now would be the perfect time to go over the story of the original two Pillars of Eternity games, which shared the same universe, and break down the events that occurred before Obsidian's next big RPG. While Pillars of Eternity and its sequel Deadfire tell a standalone story, they lay the groundwork for Eora's world, including its gods, its magic, and its fractured civilizations. Since Avowed takes place in the same setting, there's a good chance that some of these events will be relevant to the new game. Now, before exploring the world of Pillars of Eternity, it's worth highlighting something just as magical: breakfast. Finding the right one can often feel like deciphering ancient texts, complicated and rarely rewarding. Fortunately, Magic Spoon provides a much simpler solution. Magic Spoon is a high-protein cereal designed to offer the same great taste as traditional cereals without the drawbacks. Each serving contains 13 to 14 grams of protein, no sugar, and only 4 to 5 net carbs, fitting into a variety of diets. As someone who occasionally goes on a strict low-carb diet, finding a way to eat those nostalgic and delicious cereal flavors is just, well, magical. Magic Spoon also offers protein-packed treats with 11 to 12 grams of protein and just 1 gram of sugar per serving. Whether as a quick breakfast or a convenient snack, both options provide a great way to raise that HP during the day. Best of all, there's no need to swear an oath to an ancient order. Magic Spoon is backed by a 100% happiness guarantee. If you don't like it, don't worry. A full refund is offered, no questions asked. So, if you're ready to taste the magic, use my code SUGGESTIVEGAMING or click the link in the description to try Magic Spoon cereal or treats today and get $5 off your order. You can also find Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. Thanks again to Magic Spoon for making this video possible. Now, without further ado, this is what you need to know about Pillars of Eternity. Our story begins on Eora, a world defined by the cycle of souls. On Eora, the cycle of life and death is governed by the Wheel, a vast cosmic mechanism that ensures souls are purified and reborn. The transition between lives occur through a realm known as the In-Between, before souls pass into the Beyond, where they await reincarnation. The cycle is deeply tied to Adra, a rare crystalline mineral that acts as a conduit for soul energy. The Wheel goes on to shape civilizations for millennia, with scholars and priests dedicating their lives to understanding it. Among the most advanced of these civilizations are the Engwithans, a group whose empire ends up spanning much of the known world. They build vast cities and towering temples, developing a deep knowledge of souls and the forces that govern them. However, despite their power, the Engwithans mysteriously vanish, leaving behind only their ruins, massive stone structures filled with strange mechanisms, cryptic inscriptions, and lost knowledge. Their disappearance goes on to become one of the world's greatest mysteries. In the modern era, the world is divided into powerful nations, each with its own beliefs and struggles. The Aedir Empire, one of the largest and oldest, rules their territories with a firm grip. The Valian republics, a coalition of merchant states, thrive on trade and profit. The Rauatai, a militaristic island nation, seeks to expand its influence. Finally, scattered throughout the land are the native Glanfathan tribes, who revere the ruins of the Engwithans as sacred and lash out at those who try to disturb them. One thing all of these groups share is their religious faith. All across Eora, its inhabitants worship a pantheon of gods, each embodying different aspects of existence. They worship Barath, the god of death and rebirth, who oversees the flow of souls through the Wheel. They worship Aethys, the god of light and redemption, a beacon of hope for many. They also worship Magrin, the goddess of war and fire, whose followers believe in strength through destruction. They worship Wodica, the goddess of law, justice, and rulership, who seeks to reclaim her lost throne. They also worship Skaen, the god of secret hatred, who is worshipped in the shadows by the oppressed and vengeful. These are only a few of many. Though the gods are worshipped throughout the world, they are distant, with their influence felt but never directly seen. Another topic of contention amongst Eora's inhabitants is the practice of animancy, the scientific field dedicated to understanding and manipulating souls. Some see animancy as a path to enlightenment, a means to cure disease, extend life, or even bring back the dead. Others see it as reckless and dangerous, meddling with forces mortals were never meant to control. This conflict is at the heart of the Dyrwood, a land once ruled by the Aedir Empire before a bloody revolution earned them their independence. Though free, the nation remains fractured, caught between political strife, escalating conflicts with Glanfathan tribes, and, most pressing of all, the Hollowborn Plague. After the revolution, children across the Dyrwood began to be born without souls. While their bodies live, their minds are empty, incapable of thought or emotion. With the cause unknown, some begin to blame animancers, accusing them of tearing souls from the wheel. Others then claim the plague to be the gods' punishment for the Dyrwood's violent past. The growing fear and desperation spread, leading to riots, executions, and distrust in both animancy and the ruling Duke of Dyrwood's capital city, Defiance Bay. It's at this point that we find our protagonist, a traveler heading west, looking to settle in the Dyrwood for a fresh start. They join a caravan bound for the Gilded Vale, a rural town where the local lord is offering land to new settlers. While the journey is uneventful at first, as the group makes camp for the night, a massive storm rolls in, forcing them to seek shelter in a nearby cave. Inside, the travelers stumble upon a group of robed figures gathered around an ancient Engwithan machine infused with Adra. The figures, led by an old man in a robe and ornamental headdress, chant in an ancient tongue, channeling power into the machine as part of an unknown ritual. Before the protagonist can react, the ritual reaches its climax, as a surge of energy erupts from the Adra, tearing through the cave. The protagonist collapses, overwhelmed by the blast. When they awaken, everything has changed. Whispers echo in their mind, visions of past lives flicker before their eyes, and memories that don't belong to them take hold. The storm and ritual have awakened them, giving them the abilities of a Watcher, someone who can perceive and interact with souls. However, this power turns out to be as much of a curse as it is a gift. If left unchecked, the constant flood of memories will eventually drive the Watcher mad. With no other choice, the newly awakened traveler stumbles out of the cave and presses on to the Gilded Vale, hoping to find a cure for their new affliction. When they arrive, however, it becomes clear that the town is dealing with problems of its own. At the center of the Gilded Vale stands a massive tree, its branches lined with corpses. Raedric VII, the town's ruler, has ordered the execution of anyone suspected of heresy, believing that the Hollowborn Plague is a divine punishment for the sins of his people. From one of the lifeless bodies, the Watcher is directed to a stronghold called Caed Nua, whose lord, Merwald, is also a Watcher. Unfortunately, the Watcher is unable to learn more about their shared condition, as Merwald's awakening has driven him insane. After they're forced to fight and kill Merwald, the Watcher takes Caed Nua as their own, inhabiting it along with the soul of a woman inhabiting a marble statue known as the Steward, who acts as its caretaker. Following their only lead to search for a group called the Leaden Key in Defiance Bay, the Watcher sets out to ask the capital city's animancers for answers, not just about their own awakening, but also about the true cause of the Hollowborn Plague. Along the way, they meet companions who join them on their journey, each with their own reasons for traveling along. When the group reaches Defiance Bay, however, they find the city on the brink of collapse. The Dyrwood's capital is fractured by political struggles, with multiple factions vying for control. The Knights of the Crucible, a long-standing militant order, seek to maintain stability, but they're locked in conflict with the Dozens, a populist faction that opposes animancy and sees it as a perversion of nature. Meanwhile, House Dominal, a powerful crime syndicate, lurks in the shadows, manipulating the city's chaos for their own gain. In the midst of this turmoil, animancers desperately work to uncover the cause of the Hollowborn Plague before their entire field of study is outlawed. During their investigation, the Watcher soon discovers that the real culprit behind the Hollowborn Plague is none other than the Leaden Key, which happens to be the very same cult they encountered in the cave. Led by the robed figure the Watcher witnessed, the enigmatic and seemingly immortal Theos Ix Arcanon, the Leaden Key has been orchestrating a campaign of sabotage, assassinations, and misinformation to turn public opinion against animancy. The purpose of the Leaden Key's crusade, however, remains unclear. Continuing to follow leads, the Watcher learns that a pivotal research facility within the city, the Sanitarium, has been infiltrated by the Leaden Key. Inside, they uncover evidence that Theos Ix Arcanon has been tampering with the reincarnation cycle itself, using ancient Engwithan machines to divert souls from the wheel. This robbery of souls prevents them from being reborn into new bodies, leaving newborn babies hollowborn. However, before the Watcher can act to stop their plot, the situation in Defiance Bay reaches its boiling point. A riot erupts, leading to a massacre at the Animancy hearings, and the city is thrown into chaos. With Defiance Bay no longer safe, the Watcher follows a lead to Twin Elms, a sacred city controlled by the Glanfithan tribes, hoping to find knowledge of the Leaden Key's true purpose buried within the ruins there. Before reaching Twin Elms, however, the Watcher is called to the frozen north, to a desolate region known as the White March. Here, they find Durgan's Battery, a once mighty dwarven fortress sealed for over 200 years. Durgan's Battery is also rumored to house the legendary White Forge, capable of crafting weapons from Durgan's steel, an unparalleled metal lost to time. Arriving in the village of Stalwart at the base of the White March, the Watcher quickly finds the residents struggling to survive in the harsh climate. Many believe reopening Durgan's Battery and regaining access to its legendary forge will turn their fortunes around. However, countless expeditions have failed to breach the ancient stronghold, and rumors of restless spirits and hidden dangers keep most would-be adventurers away. Despite the risks, the Watcher rallies a new band of allies to aid Stalwart, eventually piecing together clues on how to unseal Durgan's Battery. Venturing inside the fortress, they find evidence of a catastrophic event that forced the dwarves to barricade themselves inside centuries ago. In the depths of Durgan's Battery, the Watcher locates the White Forge, learning that the souls of the ancient dwarven guardians were long ago bound to Durgan's Battery itself. The Watcher is left to make a critical choice: release the souls from Durgan's Battery back to the wheel, bind them to the Forge's defenses to protect their fortress forever, or keep the souls bound to the White Forge to lend their skills to all those who use it. Either way, not long after these events, the Watcher has a vision of an army marching from the mountains to bring destruction. Returning to the White March, they find an opposing faction, the Iron Flail, attempting to seize the White Forge. Before they can intervene, the stronghold is attacked by the Eyeless, towering Adra constructs that match the beings from the Watcher's vision. Following clues to the Abbey of the Fallen Moon, the Watcher learns the truth of these creatures' appearance from Andra, the goddess of oceans, seas, and forgotten things. She reveals that she killed Abaddon, the god of preservation, because he defied her by safeguarding knowledge. She then repurposed his eyeless to erase history instead of preserving it, but admits that she has since lost control of them. She tasks the Watcher with stopping them by destroying a fallen moon fragment. However, the process requires a final strike, ensuring that whomever delivers it will not survive. When the final blow is needed, the Watcher must choose to remain behind and die to complete the task themselves, let a companion make the sacrifice, or figure out a way for everyone to survive. If the Watcher lives, they're then tasked with determining the fate of the Eyeless, deciding whether to restore them to their true purpose and revive Abaddon's legacy, or destroy them completely, ensuring Andra's will is carried out. Whatever the Watcher decides, the consequences will ripple across Eora. With the mystery of the White March resolved, they return to their main journey, heading toward Twin Elms. Arriving in Twin Elms, the Watcher finds themselves in a city steeped in ancient traditions. Unlike the Deerwood, Twin Elms is ruled by the Glanfithan tribes, who revere the ruins beneath their feet as sacred relics of their ancestors. These ruins, remnants of the long-extinct Engwithan civilization, hold secrets that have been hidden for thousands of years. The Glanfithans whisper of the Leaden Key, calling their leader only the Grandmaster. The Watcher soon learns that Theos Ix Arcanon has been here before, many times across many lives. As an agent of the god Wodica, he has spent centuries erasing the truth of Eora's history. The Glanfithans do not realize it, but the ruins they protect contain the knowledge Theos Ix Arcanon has fought to bury, the origins of the gods themselves. Through either diplomacy or force, the Watcher is able to gain passage from the Glanfithans into the depths of the Engwithan ruins. There, they finally uncover the truth. The gods of Eora are not actually divine beings. They were created. Thousands of years ago, the Engwithans discovered a horrifying truth. The gods they had long searched for did not exist. Believing that the world needed divine order, they decided to create it themselves, sacrificing their entire civilization, using powerful Adra machines to funnel all of their souls into constructs of their own design. The result was the pantheon of gods worshipped in the modern day: Barath, Magrin, Andra, Abaddon, Wodica,
and the rest.
Theos Ix Arcanon, then an Engwithan priest, believed that the gods were necessary to bring structure and meaning to the world. Not everyone agreed with this decision, however. To ensure the survival of this grand deception, Theos Ix Arcanon founded the Leaden Key, dedicating his many lifetimes to fighting to erase all knowledge of the gods' true origins. Part of this mission included fighting animancy to prevent the truth from being discovered once again. With this revelation, the Watcher pursues Theos Ix Arcanon to his final stronghold, Sun in Shadow, a massive Engwithan complex buried beneath the Burial Isle. There lies the massive Adra machine Theos Ix Arcanon has been using to collect all of the souls to empower Wodica, hoping to allow her to rise as the supreme deity over Eora, ruling with an iron grip. Fighting through the ruins, the Watcher eventually confronts Theos in one final battle. Theos Ix Arcanon, recognizing the Watcher as someone he's known across multiple lifetimes, tries to convince them to uphold his mission. However, the Watcher stands firm. After an intense battle, Theos Ix Arcanon falls, finally bringing his many lifetimes to an end. With his dying breath, he pleads for the Watcher to destroy the Adra machine, preserving the god's secret. This leaves the Watcher to make the final choice: restore the stolen souls to the Hollowborn children, undoing Theos Ix Arcanon's work, return the souls to the wheel, letting them find new bodies in time through the natural cycle of reincarnation, use the soul's essence to strengthen those in the Deerwood, disperse them to an unknown location, or just destroy the souls entirely. No matter the decision, the world is irrevocably changed. With the weight of their decision still lingering, the Watcher returns to their stronghold at Cain Nua. Whether they restored the souls of the Hollowborn, scattered them, or sent them elsewhere, their connection to the past begins to fade. The voices that once haunted them grow silent, and for the first time in a long time, The Watcher's mind is their own. But peace doesn't last long. 5 years later, as the Watcher sleeps one night, the ground trembles beneath them. A massive Adra statue, buried for centuries beneath Caed Nua, begins to stir. The Watcher awakens just in time to witness the impossible as the statue rises, glowing with divine energy, standing over 700 feet tall. Inside of it is the reincarnation of Aethys, the god of light and, appropriately, rebirth. Aethys, long believed to be dead, was destroyed during the Saints' War over a century ago. His baffling return, a cosmic event unlike anything the world has thus far seen, ends up bringing destruction rather than hope. With one massive step, Aethys crushes Caed Nua beneath his feet, draining the souls of all of its inhabitants as he marches towards the Deadfire archipelago. The Watcher is left among the dying, their soul ripped from their body, barely clinging to life. Before they slip away completely, however, they are pulled into the realm of Barath, the god of death. Barath then offers them a deal, tasking the Watcher with following Aethys to the Deadfire, finding out what he's planning, and then stopping him, if possible. Whether they want to take this deal or not, the Watcher is left with no choice. Barath restores their soul, save for a piece Aethys took with him, and soon, the Watcher awakens aboard a ship bound for the Deadfire, a vast chain of tropical islands controlled by powerful factions, pirate lords, and foreign empires. Arriving in the Deadfire archipelago, the Watcher finds the area to be a very different place from the Dyrwood. Home to the Huana, a native people with deep spiritual ties to the land and the gods, the region is also in the midst of being fought over by foreign powers, all of whom see the Deadfire as a prize to be claimed. The most powerful factions vying for control include the Royal Deadfire Company, a militaristic empire seeking to colonize the islands and control its resources. There is also the Valian Trading Company, a merchant group using wealth and diplomacy to gain influence over the region. Another group is the Principi Sen Petrena, a loose alliance of pirates and smugglers. Finally, the Huana themselves, led by Queen Onakaza II, are struggling to maintain their traditions in the face of foreign invaders. Each faction wants something from the Watcher, and depending on their choices, the Watcher can align with one of them, manipulate them all, or forge their own path. However, the Watcher doesn't have time to play politics for long. Aethys remains on the move, and every day he grows closer to his final destination, Ukaizo, a legendary lost city said to hold the secret to controlling the Wheel of Reincarnation. To catch up with Aethys, the Watcher needs a fleet strong enough to break through the storms that protect Ukaizo. But before they can do that, they must first unravel the mystery of why Aethys has returned in the first place. As they track him across the islands, the Watcher learns that Aethys is absorbing the energy of Adra pillars just as Theos Ix Arcanon once did, but on a massively larger scale. His power is growing, and if he reaches Ukaizo, he may become unstoppable. Throughout their journey, the Watcher is visited in visions by Aethys himself. Unlike Theos Ix Arcanon, Aethys doesn't hide his intentions. He is not here to rule. He is not here for power. He is here to break the wheel, to shatter the cycle of reincarnation and end the gods' control over mortal souls. The Watcher, knowing what the gods truly are, begins to realize what this means. If the wheel is broken, then not only will reincarnation end, but with nowhere for the souls to go, the balance of life and death itself will collapse. Aethys refuses to listen to reason, however, seeing the gods as a deceptive, unnatural force dictating the fate of mortals. His actions are not about vengeance, but about freeing the world from a cycle that it never agreed to be a part of. At the same time, the Watcher begins to question the gods themselves. Some, like Magrin, remain silent. Others, like Andra, actively try to bury the truth. Barath, meanwhile, demands that the Watcher stop Aethys at any cost, even if it means using force. As the Watcher gathers allies new and old and prepares for the final confrontation, they realize that no matter what they do, the world will never be the same. Aethys is heading to Ukaizo, and whatever happens there will change the fate of Eora forever. With the Deadfire in chaos and the factions still vying for control, the Watcher sets their sights on Ukaizo, the fabled lost cradle of Engwithan civilization, the city where their empire began. The impenetrable storms and mist that guard its shores are not natural. They were placed by the gods themselves to ensure that no mortal would ever rediscover its secrets. Ukaizo holds the ultimate prize, the heart of the Wheel of Reincarnation itself. If Aethys reaches it, he will change the fate of all life in Eora forever. Only the strongest fleet can survive the journey, meaning the Watcher must choose an ally to lead them to the city. At this point, the Watcher has a critical choice to make. They can side with the Royal Deadfire Company, helping the military might claim Ukaizo for industrial expansion. They can side with the Valian Trading Company, using wealth and diplomacy to control Ukaizo for economic gain. They can side with the Principi Sen Patrina, giving Ukaizo to the pirate lords and allowing them to establish a free, lawless territory. They can side with the Huana, restoring Ukaizo to its native people and rejecting the foreign rule. Or they can go it alone, rejecting all factions and forging their own path. Whichever choice the Watcher makes, it leads to a final naval battle outside of Ukaizo. The chosen faction, or the Watcher alone, must break through the storms and defeat any opposing fleets to reach the city before it's too late. At some point before the final battle, however, the Watcher receives a letter from the Harbingers of Dusk, a doomsday cult devoted to Rimergand, the god of entropy, winter, and the end of all things. The cult believes the Watcher to be the Dusk Speaker, a herald of the apocalypse, and invites them to Harbinger's Watch, a remote frozen settlement at the southern edge of the Deadfire. Upon arriving at Harbinger's Watch, the Watcher finds the settlement in a state of religious fervor. The Harbingers claim that the end of the world is near, and that Rimergand's domain is expanding, covering the warm tropical seas in an unseasonal eternal ice. The cultists have long awaited the arrival of the Dusk Speaker, believing that their presence will fulfill the prophecy. However, the settlement is under siege. A massive undead dragon known as the Messenger has emerged, and the Watcher is thrust into battle, ultimately defeating it. As the Watcher investigates further, they discover that Harbinger's Watch was built atop an ancient temple of Rimergand, containing a long-buried portal to the Beyond, the god's divine realm. They learn that the ice is not spreading naturally. It's the result of a breach between the mortal world and Rimergand's domain. The Watcher then descends into the temple and finds that the portal to the Beyond has been opened, allowing souls to be drawn into the void. The temple itself is filled with lost spirits, mechanical constructs, and frozen horrors. As they delve deeper, they uncover the remains of past travelers, revealing that the Harbingers are not the first to seek out Rimergand's will. Many others have come before, only to be consumed by entropy. As they press forward, the Watcher reaches the heart of the Beyond, the White Void, where the undead dragon, Nerisserless, awaits. The dragon then reveals its ultimate goal, to escape Rimergand's domain by binding its soul to an ancient artifact known as the Anchor, defying the natural cycle of decay. Determined to claim its freedom, the dragon initiates a final epic battle against the Watcher. The fight is long and grueling, but eventually, Nerisserless is slain. In the wake of the battle, Rimergand himself finally intervenes in the form of the giant Beast of Winter. The Beast of Winter acknowledges the Watcher's strength and offers them a choice. Accept his mark, binding their soul to entropy, ensuring they will one day become part of the White Void, or defy him, attempting to escape his domain on their own. If the Watcher chooses to resist, a final confrontation with the God of Entropy follows. After a fierce battle, the Watcher emerges victorious, forcing Rimmergond to cast them out of the Beyond. Upon returning to Harbinger's Watch, the Watcher finds that the portal has sealed, and Rimmergond's influence begins to wane. The Harbingers, however, remain steadfast in their belief. Winter always returns. Sometime later, the Watcher is again summoned, this time to the Forgotten Sanctum, a hidden repository of ancient knowledge buried beneath the Black Isles. The scholars of the Hand Occult, a secretive order of wizards, have grown desperate, as something within the sanctum has begun warping reality, threatening to unravel the fabric of existence itself. Guided by the enigmatic archmages of the Hand Occult, the Watcher descends into a temple dedicated to the god of dreams, secrets, and mysteries, Whale. As they venture deeper, they learn of Whale's oracle, an ancient consciousness bound to the sanctum. Its influence has begun to spread, assimilating memories, knowledge, and even entire souls into itself. At the heart of the sanctum, they discover that the oracle is not merely a force of knowledge. It is a living entity, one that feeds on the minds of those who seek wisdom. Among its victims is Mara, an archmage who sought enlightenment but instead became a vessel for something far more sinister. The Watcher eventually reaches the oracle, fighting through its defenses to eventually engage in a final battle. After emerging victorious, the Watcher is left to determine the oracle and Whale's fate, before leaving the Black Isles to return to their main quest. When the Watcher finally reaches the ruins of Ukaizo, they learn that it's not just a city, but a massive, ancient Adra machine, one even older than the gods themselves. At its heart, the massive Aethys greets them, but makes it clear that nothing they say will change his mind. He is there for one purpose and one purpose only: to destroy the Wheel of Reincarnation, breaking the cycle of souls and freeing mortals from the control of the gods. The Watcher, for all of their power, cannot fight him. Aethys isn't there for battle, nor is he there to kill. He simply doesn't care about resistance. However, before he strikes, he gives the Watcher one final opportunity to tell him what to do next. At this moment, the Watcher can attempt to reason with Aethys or support him in his efforts, but either way, the god follows through with his plan. He raises his massive fist and brings it crashing down, obliterating the ancient machinery that has controlled reincarnation for millennia. The world shakes as the cycle shatters, and as the dust settles, Aethys turns to the Watcher one last time, telling them that their part in the story is finally over. With the Watcher's role now complete, Aethys disappears, his massive form dissolving until nothing is left. With Aethys gone and the wheel shattered, the gods are left reeling. Without the cycle of reincarnation, their own existence is thrown into uncertainty. The natural order is broken, and the Watcher is one of the only mortals who knows the true implications of what has happened. Some scholars fear that without the wheel, souls will stagnate, and life itself will decay over time. Others believe that this is the first step towards a world where mortals shape their own destiny, free from divine interference. As factions move to claim the ruins of Ukaizo, the Watcher is left with one last choice: return to the Deerwood, or forge their own path into an uncertain future. Whatever happens next is up to the mortals now. And that brings us to the Eora we'll step into with Avowed, a world forever changed by the events of Pillars of Eternity. With the cycle of reincarnation shattered, the gods thrown into uncertainty, and the balance of power disrupted, the living lands offer us a fresh perspective on a world still reeling from these upheavals. How will the echoes of the past shape the future? And most importantly, how much of this history will come into play in Avowed? Only time will tell. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into gaming lore. Big thanks to the folks on screen who support me making these, and you can too! Check out the description. As always, folks, I'm Suggestive Gaming, and now you're in the know.